meal for you. We are going to be looking at every sector just to keep you knowing what is happening. Molly, a lovely morning to you.
Yes, a very lovely morning to you as well. And I want to say good morning to our viewers. Well, indeed, there is a lot that happens in this country, but obviously we make it a point to make sure that we keep you up to date and also actually beyond the country and what is happening and what we think you should be knowing. And of course, that's where we come in as Good Morning Uganda to get you into the day.
Well, so much happened yesterday. We'll begin with court, where it seems Honorable Muhammad Segrinya and Aran Sewanyana will spend longer than expected before trial, actually in prison. Because their hopes after what happened yesterday was somehow a bit watered down, because it seems securing them bail, if it is ever to happen, it may not, but will take longer. They have spent over 9 months.
Yeah, but I saw also their lawyers, a group of their lawyers actually, they are actually talking about not giving up. They're still going to appeal to the Court of Justice, because according to them, and Shamim Malende was actually saying, the same Court of Justice that granted them right to bail is the same Court of Justice that is denying them that. And obviously they are taking it to the Constitutional Court now to make sure that they can get justice for their clients. But obviously, we know the law is the law. You're either guilty or innocent.
Well, wait and see, and of course, when will this trial begin? Because that is also something else to think about. But still looking at what transpired yesterday, well, the Vice President met, that is the UNATO officials, representatives, and also NATO. So that meeting, well, it ended seemingly like it began.
The teachers in this country
not much was reached or arrived at. It was all about, since you've been delegated, we've given you a position, please communicate that. But these issues, people who thought it was going to turn out into either they have gotten back to class, or government has promised all this, all that, nothing tangible, because we are waiting for two. What is the position? However, there's still another meeting on Friday, and the teachers say, the arts teachers are saying, we are still waiting, we are open for dialogue. Anything regarding meeting our demands, for us, we are there.
It seems like they are not backing out, actually, because they also believe that they should be treated the same way. And obviously, we're waiting that maybe they could actually be fairly treated. But also, Robert, I saw a report that is from Save the Children that is looking into the teaching profession. And according to them, they're saying 80% of the teachers in Uganda, if given better opportunities, they would quit the profession. And to me, that was disturbing. Because the report from Save the Children was looking at different aspects of teaching as a profession, let alone being an arts teacher, a science teacher. It looks like if a teacher in this country got a better opportunity, they wouldn't want to go in for the profession. Now the question is, where does that leave the teachers in this country? And also something else that caught my eyes is that they're saying the number of street children in Kampala have increased. And that is just 2 months after they had cleared off the streets. Some of them were taken back into their home districts, and now we're seeing an increase. The question still is, who is bringing these kids onto the streets and who is taking care of them? Because we have also uncovered that there are groups of people that bring these certain kids onto the streets of Kampala. And you wonder how people are dealing with this in the realm of humanity, really.
When everything has money in it, you find that finding a solution is a problem. Recently, we had COVID-19. The vaccine for COVID-19 was discovered. When will that of HIV be discovered? You know why? Look at how many organizations, this is my thinking, if you really came out with that, people, how many jobs and all that. But away from that, the issue of street children, I think we are just looking at it on the surface. There is so much that has to be unearthed. There is so much allocations. You don't know how many non-government organizations are dealing in these street children. People have built houses out of street children. People have done businesses out of street children. People are earning out of street children. And I'm talking about huge organizations. Then we look in the name of charity. This is a trade, by the way. So longer we should stop calling them street children, because this is a trade that has to be investigated. But equally, yesterday I enjoyed Kosase. Ugandans, where someone says you received the money, You said you gave the lady the money in presence of you, and the other one says, no. I didn't receive the money. You didn't give the money to the lady. I never witnessed such. Then the person is asked, but you signed here showing the money was distributed cash, and it was very confusing. And I'm like, well, Kosase, please.
Give us a break, but either way, Kosasa is doing a good job because they're investigating most of these. And I think a statement from her son-in-law, the lady in question, saying that this money is never there. It was never there. As a family, they have no whereabouts. However, now I don't know how the son-in-law was put into question at that point, how he came in. But it seems like this is a big case that really needs a lot of attention. Talking about cases, Robert, I was looking at a story about the renowned singer who is now a disgraced singer, Arakeri. He has been given 30 years in jail, and that is on charges of sex abuse and using his status as a celebrity singer to traffic women, to traffic children. And at that point, because for the last 2 years he has been battling with court on to especially ascertaining, but now there were a lot of women that came and took a stand, and obviously they were actually, you know, talking about the fact that he has done a lot to them, and of course also making confirmations of how he has been using his status into luring them into acts that they did not consent to. And that is what prompted the judge to actually grant him 30 years of bail. And for that, I say it was quite something that was called for. Maybe other people that take themselves as being within the status of being a celebrity and using that to do, you know, felon is something that is condemned. And I think this is going to teach a lot of people who are especially in position of power and having money to do certain crimes. Because, Robert, if you look at sex trafficking, this is something that unless it is uncovered at a big ring, it's going to be a crime that is kind of undercover or underground. And for me, the US did justice to make sure that the singer is convicted over his crimes. We also know that there have been a lot of charges, especially when it comes to child trafficking. And of course, I think what we can relate to in this country is what has been also the organ trafficking about our, you know, labor immigrants that go out of the country. And it seems like most of these charges never make it to court. But when they do, we would want to see that kind of justice prevail.
Well, you've opened a tin of worms when you talk about that is organ trafficking. I told you I was shocked to hear that there was a person who was created with one kidney, one missing, but science is science. I don't know, that came out from medical experts. But finally, a roundup of yesterday, police came out and issued a clear warning to armed robbers in this country that now they're going to apply the shoot to kill policy. Should you have a gun, you're found in criminality, they won't be fire in space, hit the leg, they will just put you out of action. This was very clear by the Director Operations, Uganda Police Force. It was very clear by the Commander Kampala Metropolitan, that is Timinu, and it was very clear by also Canon, I think, something Mwesije, who said, now is the time, enough is enough. Should you be involved in an armed robbery, you're seen with a weapon, we are going to just put you out of action. Then we shall investigate the source of the gun. Because they said all these guns are marked, so when we've put you out of action, we shall investigate. But that's something we are going to be discussing later on in our newsreel with Philomena Masiko. But let's also take a look at some of the stories that made it to our news desk yesterday. And we'll begin with the meeting between the Vice President and the teachers' representatives, from the workers' representatives and government officials, that was believed to have a solution to the ongoing art teachers' strike. The meeting between the Vice President, Jessica Alupo, and Uganda National Teachers Union didn't yield much, with teachers vowing to continue with their industrial action. This was disclosed by the Secretary General, United Philbert Baguma, after a 3-hour meeting with the Vice President, Major Jessica Alupo. Recent directives made for teachers to return to class. Uganda National Teachers Union vowed to continue with their industrial action until they reach a final conclusion and a solution with government. In a 3-hour closed-door meeting, the Vice President, Major Jessica Alupo, the Secretary General, Uganda National Teachers Union, Philbert Baguma, said the meeting did not yield much. Waguma said teachers under their umbrella organization are continuing with actual action and urged the teachers not to be intimidated and not to step in class till they have a communication from them. Teachers said they want to meet the president to address their challenges. It is approximately a month since teachers declared the industrial action over salary enhancement.
And in another story, businessman Warren Mwesigwa was put on spot by Parliament's Committee of Commission for the Commission's Statutory Authorities and State Enterprises, that is for allegedly fraudulently buying Natalie Namuli's rights and claims during compensation process for her land in Kagadi. According to the committee, Mwesige bought all Namuli's interest worth 2.3 billion at only 318 million. Warren Mwesige, who purchased interest of the 2.3 billion compensation for one Namuli Natalie at only 318 million during the compensation process for her land in Kagadi, has appealed before Kosase to answer on what exactly he purchased after realizing he signed for a land title, yet he insists that he purchased only the interests that were due to be paid by the Uganda Land Commission. Richard Buzibira, a partner at Buzibira and Lubega Advocates, who represented Namuli in the compensation process after being grilled by the committee yesterday, revealed that compensation remained in Namuli's names, although the businessman Mwesige got the money. The committee revealed that there were conspiracy between Mwesige and the Kofa Limited proprietor lawyers of Buzira and Lubega in the fraudulent compensation claim.
And away from Parliament, we now look at court, where Court of Appeal in Kampala has declined to release on the jailed Kawempe North MP Mohamed Segrinya and Machindia West's MP Alan Sewanyana. The panel of 3 justices of Court of Appeal argued that the court had no jurisdiction to hear such an application and it was referred to the High Court. The MPs said the MP's legal team, represented by Elias Lukwago, recently asked court to grant them bail, citing medical issues and that it had been too long while they were in detention without trial, among other grounds. These prayers were objected to by the State Attorney Richard Birivumbuka. The 3 justices of the Court of Appeal said that, well, this is a decision they could not reach and dismissed the legislator's appeal on grounds that the court has no jurisdiction. Justices also added that such matter of bail are only handled by the High Court, and it is on this that they ordered them to be filed and returned to the High Court for further trial. However, justices have directed for a speedy trial. The MP's legal team, led by Samuel Mujuzi Mulindwa, was not contented with court's decision. Meanwhile, the International Crimes Division of the High Court in Kololo has also declined to grant an application filed by the legislators Mohamed Segrinya and Alan Sewanyana seeking for their unconditional release following the rearrest by security operatives. Justice Elizabeth Jane Alvadeza, in her ruling read by Deputy Registrar Pamela Lamono, the applicants were rearrested and it was irregular and uncalled for. However, they are in unlawful custody since they are pending with law charges. After court, the applicant's legal team vowed to appeal the decision. And now looking at issues of corruption, the Deputy Inspector of Government, Dr. Patricia Chen Okiria, has said that government will not tolerate any form of corruption in its offices. She was launching the Young People's Handbook on Transparency, Accountability and Anti-Corruption. An estimate of 70% of youth in the country are unemployed due to unfavorable conditions attached to procedures of acquiring such jobs. This stresses to access public services where many people are left out. Government has now come up with strategies to sensitize and educate the youth about dangers of involving in corruption. Achom has strongly warned government officials who have made it a habit to deny justice to society, stressing that they will be hunted down. While launching the Young People's Handbook on Transparency, Accountability and Corruption, institutional leaders were advised to report any form of corruption they find in seeking services.
And crossing over to our international scene, the Paris trio, now the only surviving attacker from the group that carried out the November 2015 Paris attacks, have been found guilty of terrorism and murder charges. Salah Abdul Salam received a rare full life sentence for his role in the gun and bomb attack that killed 130 people. The court also convicted 19 other men involved, 6 of whom are believed to be dead. The trial, the biggest in modern French history, began last September, and for more than 9 months, victims, journalists and the families of the dead lined up outside the specially built courtroom in Paris to piece together a story of the worst attack in France since World War II. The attacks across bars, restaurants, the National Football Stadium and Bataclan music venue on the 13th of November 2015 saw hundreds injured alongside those killed. At the beginning of the trial, Abdeslam was defiant, describing himself as a soldier of the so-called Islamic State group, but he later apologized to the victims, telling the court in his closing remarks that he was not a murderer or a killer and that to convict him of murder would be an injustice. Now, away from that, Ara Carey has been given 30 years in jail for sex abuse. The US singer Ara Carey has been sentenced to 30 years in prison for using his celebrity status to sexually abuse children and women. The R&B singer, 55, was convicted last September in New York of racketeering and sex trafficking crimes. He has faced years of allegations, and the judge on Wednesday said that he had an indifference to human suffering. Lawyers for the singer, whose real names are Robert Sylvester Kelly, says that he will appeal ahead of his sentencing. Now, a handful of women took the stand to confront Ara Carey. A woman identified only as Angela called the singer a typer who grew in wickedness with every new victim, while others who were named testified he had broken their spirits. "I literally wished I would die because of how you made me feel," said one of the ladies. Dressed in the prison khaki and the dark glasses, Ara Carey declined to make a statement on his own and did not react as the verdict was handed down. The US District Judge Ann Donnelly said the celebrity had used sex as a weapon, forcing his victims to do unspeakable things and saddling some with sexually transmitted diseases. "You taught them that love is enslavement and violence," she said. And back in Africa, a Kenyan woman who is reportedly an aspiring politician has been arrested after allegedly pretending to be a policewoman while appearing as a panelist on television show. The suspect, identified by the police as Monica Wamaitha Gaitua, was in full police uniform during the talk show on Wednesday morning on the vernacular station. Now, police rushed to the TV station after doubting the credibility of Miss Wamaitha, who was a panelist on the breakfast show. Neither the suspect nor the station, Inoro TV, had commented on the allegations. She is currently assisting with investigations for the offense of impersonating as a police officer, police said in a tweet. Police says she is a candidate for a parliamentary seat, woman representative for Nairobi County, in the elections scheduled for August. During the questioning, she said she had been a serving officer until her retirement in 2011. And the FP news agency reports, a website for an organization where women in security, Kenya says that she had as an administrative police officer. In a weather and climate news, the EU countries have approved climate laws, the 2035 fossil fuel car ban. European Union countries have reached a deal backing strike climate rules that were to eliminate carbon emissions from the new cars by 2035 and a multi-billion euro fund to shield poorer citizens from carbon dioxide costs. Now, the 27 EU members formed a common agreement on Wednesday morning on a draft legislation aimed at slashing EU greenhouse gases by at least 55% in 2030 compared with 1990 rather than by a previously agreed upon 40%. Worse than predicted, the G7 meets to keep climate action on track. A long but a good day for climate action, the Council's decision on Fit for 55 are the big step towards delivering the EU Green Deal, said Frans Timmermans, the EU's Vice President in charge of the Green Deal, after the meeting of environmental ministers in Luxembourg. Now, the agreement of the 5 laws proposed by the EU's executive arm last year paves way for the final negotiations with the European Parliament. The EU lawmakers are backing ambitious bloc-wide targets and final approval of the legislative package, which will now require the EU's Parliament to resolve differences with the bloc's national governments over various details. And of course, we continue to see commitments from the EU, especially when it comes to the targets to cut carbon dioxide emissions. And of course, this also cuts across as we look forward to the COP27 that will be in Egypt, to see that other countries are joining within the campaign, Robert. Make sure that, we handle climate action and make sure we're getting away from all these severe events happening across the world. Yeah.
Now, there's a story that interested me. This Kenyan politician lady, when she claims she was a police officer, now if you retire, maybe if you are to go by that claim, do you still put on uniform? Because there you're no longer serving officer, you'll be masquerading. But in case she's never been in the force, I find it very interesting. That's why I want to bring in this lovely lady this morning. A lovely morning to you.
Good morning, Robert. Good morning, Molen, and good morning, our beautiful viewers. It's really, really interesting. And also, I've been questioning, how long has this been happening? Yeah. If this was the one time they were able to get her, because she was on national television and, the police spotted her and believed she's fake and came through. But how long has she been under the disguise of being a policewoman in her society?
You're going on TV. Yeah. Automatically they are going to see.
Yes.
But you see, politicians do a lot of things. And one thing I've learned that their intentions. Yeah. For you may assume she's committing a crime. Yeah. But they always have hidden agendas. That's why I take long to trust words of a politician or action of a politician. A politician will tell people, there are instances I've seen in my country, they're working on the new tax pack. Not the old, but the new tax pack. There's a politician in Kampala here, about 2 of them. Remember Muhammad Nsereko, Elias Lukwago, who assured people, Temuvawo.
Yes, giving them false confidence.
Knowing money has been approved, all processes have been taken, and indeed they knew that people would leave.
Yes.
One even went, sat on top of a taxi, did all these chaotic things.
I feel like they do it for attention, and so also to create some kind of...
When a politician puts on a police uniform and goes on TV,
yes,
don't think she's just... They are very calculative, very exploitative. This is a person who will tell young youth. Yeah. Recently, I saw mothers of some of the sons who were arrested, and they were saying, when Louis Rubongoya was arrested, we saw motorcycles, we saw cars on police stations. Our children, since they were arrested, and you remove the likes of Eddie Mutwe, Nubian Lee, you've gone silent. Who is talking about our children?
But Robert, this is why I will keep saying this. As a human being, without even having any leadership position, you have to have a very, very high sense of discernment. You need to know what's right and wrong. Even when your leader tells you to do this, yes, they are in a leadership position. They could easily guide you. But you as a human being, you as a mature man, a mature woman, you need to be able to figure out, is this honestly the right thing for me to do? Because at the end of the day, they could lead you, down the wrong path. And my friend, you will die alone in that movie.
You're rotting in prison
for doing what you actually think was an order. Because at that point, you will not explain to God that, I was ordered to do this. You will be the one who committed the crime. And so seriously, you just have to take your own brains on this.
TikTok taking beach pictures. They're in Paris, moving from one place to the other. And for you, your kids are out of school. you're in Chitalia rotting.
Yes.
For them, they are taking selfies, enjoying, driving expensive cars. So, well, be very, very honest to yourself when following politicians and the actions they do. They're very smart people.
Absolutely.
But I can't forget to remind you of these two darlings, Hallelujah Jingati and Hallelujah Tamarind. What these do is they boost your immune system, and when your immune system is boosted, it simply means that the body is able to fight off a number of diseases that will reflect into saving. You know, we are saying be frugal, times are hard, but one way you can do that is ensuring that where you are carrying on certain expenditures, you save that money. You save that money and you're able to eat bread. Not spending it in hospitals, in doctors, then end up in cassava, consuming cassava, packing cassava for children. So if you want to still enjoy bread, well, Hallelujah Tamarind, Hallelujah Jingati will help you save money and you can spend on something else.
Well, somebody would come out and say bread is also not that healthy. Cassava is actually healthier than bread if you think about it. But well, once in a while, once in a while you need it. Well, in the morning
I'm not buying into that notion, really. No.
I feel I want to give a test. You know, we have very nice breakfast, you know, and what very nice tea or cappuccino, and then we put cassava and bread.
And see who
certainly I'll go for the cassava. Well, the
good for you. Good
this
for
morning. We want to hear from you now. Recently, experts came out and they did warn, saying that the quality of the A-level students that are coming out of our schools in Uganda is actually dropping. Now, this morning, we want you to have a say in this, and how best can we improve the quality of A-level learners in Uganda is the question this morning. Tell us how you think we can be able to up our game to make sure that we have high quality A-level learners that come out of our schools, and trying to join all these tertiary institutions, trying to join all these university institutions. We want to up our education, we want to up our people, so you know we are up and past standard, as they always say. Tell us what you think, #UBCGMU, and of course feel free to send us a WhatsApp message. Better yet, send us an SMS text. We'll be reading all your feedback as Good Morning Uganda goes on. Today is the Throwback Thursday. We're getting into the inspiration. I know Robert is so well versed with this song. These are his songs. When it comes to a throwback, Robert is #1 on this one. When we get back, more conversation about the very, very tough strategies the police is laying to make sure they get rid of all these armed robberies that are taking place in Kampala city and all the surrounding suburbs. Good Morning Uganda will be back shortly after this.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Hey, oh yeah, eh, eh, eh. Oh yeah, eh, 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 eh. Oh yeah, eh, 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 eh. Oh yeah, eh, eh, eh. One night. Oh yeah, eh, eh, eh. One night. Oh yeah, eh, eh, eh. One night. Oh yeah, eh, eh, eh. No one, no one. Hello, hello, how you doing? My angel, my one and only. The only one that I'm missing. Where they bring me joy and blessings, you know that I love you, and I can't wait to say I do. But before we walk down the aisle, I just wanna let you know that you're the finest. Like you be the finest being I've seen, you're the brightest. The way you the shine, the bling like me, you're the highest. When it comes to rating, you're the lead. My princess, my only. Let you know that no one be like you. See, I don't go different places, I've seen many faces. No one be like you. So they cannot replace you, cause you are a blessing. No one be like you. You're driving me crazy, cause you are my baby. No one be like you. No one like you. One like you. No one like you. One like you. No one. About a year ago, before I met you, yeah, there was no possibility for me to be rescued. But thank God I found you, girl. I cannot do without you. Now since I go different places, I've seen many faces that cannot replace you. With You wanna gain many blessings, girl, you want my life. You're the finest. Can I be the finest thing I've seen? You're the brightest. The way you the shine, you the bling like me. You're the highest. When it comes to rating, you're the lead. My princess, my only one lover. And I guess it's not to let you know that no one be like you. See, I don't go different places, I've seen many faces. No one be like you. They cannot replace you, cause you are a blessing. No one be like you. You're driving me crazy, cause you are my baby. No one be like you. No one. No one like you. One like you. No one. One like you.
Giving an example of a home. You have this father, when he goes out and meets children along the road, he buys them sweets, he buys them soda.
Yes.
Yet his children at home last tasted soda on Christmas. Sweets are luxury, they don't even think about that. He tells them, sweet ya jabaru azamanyu. You get it? Ice cream, no, jabaru azendo. The outside is giving. This is what is happening in Uganda. Globally, when you go to these international forums, talking about refugees, Uganda, we are praised. Actually, our refugee policy, the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, has on several international global platforms appealed to countries to emulate
Uganda.
To copy Uganda. We are the largest refugee hosting country on the African continent. No one beats us. So we host the biggest number of refugees. Last this month, the Honorable Prime Minister told us we have about 1.6. And she said about 50,000 had just, since the year began.
That, I say, it was quite something that was called for. Maybe other people that take themselves as being within the status of being a celebrity and using that to do, felon is something that is condemned. And I think this is going to teach a lot of people who are especially in position of power and having money to do certain crimes. Because, Robert, if you look at sex trafficking, this is something that unless it is uncovered at a big ring, it's going to be a crime that is kind of undercover or underground. And for me, the US did justice to make sure that the singer...
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by Simply deposit 20K or more on your mobile money for a chance to win 3 Toyota Succeeds and money to 2,000 lucky winners every week. We're giving away 24 cars and over 2 billion shillings of mobile money.
Football packages, great entertainment, sports, local content, telenovela, the movies. There is something for everybody. Go TV. This is where the stories live.
Get the best entertainment for any budget. With GoTV, you will have great entertainment for as little as 13,000 Ugandan shillings per month. GoTV, great stories. Zidiwano. GoTV Uganda. Love it.
The Kabaka Birthday Run 2022 is back on Sunday, 3rd July 2022 at Lubiri Mengo. This year, the run will be physical and will be flagged off by Sabasaja Kabaka at 7 a.m. Come out in large numbers once again to Lubiri Mengo. Run for a cause to fight and end HIV by 2030. Buy your ticket today at 15,000 Uganda shillings from Airtel shops at Tobani Center, New Taxi Park, ShopRite Building, Benchwanka Street, Majestic Brands Office at Bulange Mengo. You can also buy your ticket using Airtel Money. Dial *185*5 hash. Select Payments, select Kabaka Run, and follow the prompts to complete the payment. Kabaka Birthday Run 2022 is brought to you by UNAID, CBS, BBS, and Airtel, the smartphone network.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
It's exactly 9 minutes after the hour of 7 a.m. right here in Good Morning Uganda. Thank you for joining us at this very specific time for the insightful conversations we're about to have. It is the 29th of June 2022, just one day to the end of the month. I am Philomena Masco and I am in the company of Robert Chirabo Nyonyi Teno. Well, before we diverge into the conversation this morning, just to remind you of our poll question that is running, that is how best can we improve the quality of A-level learners in Uganda? How best can we improve the quality of A-level learners in Uganda? Do use all socials to get to us and tell us what you think should be done. The best, of course, suggestions and advice could definitely come in handy. But for this very specific moment, Robert, when we talk about security, especially in our communities, in our societies, it's very, very relevant. For the last couple of days, we have been seeing reports that are coming in, especially people being attacked by armed robbers. Now, the most recent one was that one that happened last week in Mukono, where we saw a Spy supermarket, at about 11:45 a.m. in the morning. People are up and busy and running. This supermarket was actually attacked by robbers that were fully armed. And they did, of course, shoot at the accountant and, of course, took away quite an amount of money. Now, this, of course, has caused a lot of anger. It has caused a lot of outrage and also caused a meeting to come in between the security operatives and even the residents of Mukono. Now, in a meeting they had recently, you could see they were very bitter, and they did ask police to come in and do something. And in fact, one of the things they did suggest was quite one I would definitely say it's quite lethal, but they believe it is it would come in handy and it would be very effective. And that is they asked police to employ in the shoot to kill policy. Now this, we know that the moment police or any security operative gets you in that act of criminality, they will shoot you to die. They will not shoot your leg or, your arm or any other body part. They are definitely going to shoot you so that you die for as long as you are fully armed. Now, when you look at this policy that was suggested, not that it has been passed or anything, but the residents feel like this is very effective. Maybe it will be handy when it comes to warding off the thieves and robberies, because people are really disgruntled, Robert. Now, when you look at a policy like this, shoot to kill gun policy by security operatives, especially at armed robberies, in your opinion, do you think this will actually bring in efficacy, especially to make sure we ward off all these robbers 100%?
We must, first of all, understand that we are governed by laws.
Yes.
In Uganda. And our laws are very clear that anyone is presumed innocent until convicted by a competent court. That even if, a person shot somebody when you're watching there, you can be a witness in the court.
Yes.
But that person remains innocent until proven guilty by the word is competent court, not any court. So that one is a suspect, and you're still suspecting.
Yes.
Until you go through court, which may take so long. Sometimes witnesses die, sometimes some go missing, others lose interest, and that person goes scot-free. All others will be on remand for a particular time. Hearing is not done, And our constitution is still very clear. After a number of time spent there, they can find their way out legally, not through prison break, but legally through the laws. They're out. We've had murder suspects who have gone out. We've had murder suspects at the likes of Chirabo, where evidence was the guy was convicted, but he was out and is now nowhere to be seen.
Yes.
So even if you pass a sentence, will justice have been achieved? No, because the committer of that offense is out. Equally, we've had many cases of armed robberies where these people have killed people, have stolen property, they have been arrested under suspects. Then at the end of the day, they see themselves out. The good news has been that some of these cases previously, remember, also court ruled against that. Where in case you're found with a weapon, you'd go to the general court martial because you have a gun. But now with the legal gymnastics, human rights here and there, that also now has problems.
Yes.
If you're aware of how they went to court, challenged that, trying civilians in the court martial, then also now those who have, so we have those challenges. Now, this policy, I just want to take Ugandans back in 2002. Kampala had become chaotic. Armed robbers were taking on forex bureaus.
Yes.
I remember one time my father was driving me from school around Rubowa, where now there's Rubowa police station. Broad daylight. I'd never seen this because we were born when war was done. So we didn't, these are stories we hear. I'd never suffered such an incident.
Yes.
And in broad daylight, I remember this young man who was putting on shorts, it was khaki. There was an Indian, I think, taking money. Around Rubowa there, they blocked the road. The guy got out with a gun, one pointed Entebbe, one pointed Kampala. They stole money from this Indian. They fired, got back in the car and took off. That is what was happening. It had become a problem. What did police do or government? They instituted what they called Operation Wembley. I don't know what age you are then, because if I was still young, I don't know then. But Operation Wembley, when they came, their mandate was clear, handling armed robbers.
Yes. Not any other kind, for as long
Not any
as
other kind, though later they lost track.
Yes.
What happened? It was shoot to kill. These guys would round up. I remember some area, we had boys on the village whom we knew we were hearing.
Yes.
It was around 1 when they surrounded the village. These boys in panic, one rushed to remove the gun, or from a garden, put out of action. This family had around 5 carcasses, put out of action. Evidence was, and they had the evidence.
Yes.
Operation Wembley, I want to say, because now they knew, these guys, if they come to arrest you and you become nonsense, you'll be put out of action. They just shoot you out,
yes.
These went, and the peace we are seeing today, to a greater extent, that forex bureaus now work anytime,
yes.
Banks, microfinance, whatever, is that work that the thieves knew, the armed robbers knew, that was something you couldn't dare to do. However, like I said, it can be abused because our constitution and rules of engagement only warrant police to shoot or put out of action in only when they're in self-defense.
Yes.
These are thugs, they're shooting at you. So you can put them out of action in self-defense. But police is mandated normally to arrest, then the judicial system begins to court, then court convicts and sentences.
Yes.
But why we are seeing this back on the rise, one of the issues is that they know, but Jakukwata, you know?
Yes.
Because you
behind
come rob this supermarket,
like a week.
Police officers come, fire, the thugs run. If they are able to track them, then arrest them later, then bring them to police. You'll find some are connected. commander or the director in charge of operations, Uganda Police, a good friend of mine, Afande Edward Ochom, said, enough is enough. I know amongst you, amongst us, they are friends,
yes.
they are agents of these people. Go and tell them, we get you, we shall shoot you, we shall kill you. When Colonel Fred Mwesige also said that for these Ochoms, but for us, we are going to kill. It is time to kill.
Yes.
The commander, Kampala Metropolitan, that is Stephen Taminu said, now is the time. You go to steal, you have a gun, police is going to finish you, put you out of action.
Yes.
How does this help? It is deterrent, one. That people know it is a risky venture to do. Getting a gun and go rob, you can lose your life if police gets you. So, people will fear. But second, we've had a problem in this country within our judicial system.
Yes.
I don't know, is it over of corruption? Is it case backlog? Is it whatever it is that it is in Uganda where they will tell you this guy killed somebody, nasibwa, naberako eruzira, yakomyewo okutigomya abantu.
Yes.
We have a creature called Sobi, you know?
And I mean, these are people that are well known in society,
yes.
Even security operatives. If they're giving you updates, they will talk about these names, they know them. And you see this person being released back into society, you know what they are actually capable of.
And finally, when he commits another offense, they'll tell you he has been on remand, he wasn't convicted. They'll tell you they'll link a number of murders to this person. Many of these people. So if this one is, and remember criminality works like this. These guys keep on recruiting.
Yes.
So if you have one armed robber in Machindi, or a group of 5, they are put out of action. If we have more than, because when they go to prison, they find others disgruntled. When they are released, when they're on remand and they come back, they look for these others. And unfortunately, this could be a chicken thief. When he goes back, society rejects him. He connects with a colleague in prison. Then tells him, I'm still using a gun. Can you, because you don't have a job, you're disgruntled. So he will get on that. I believe this policy is very deterrent. This policy helps eliminate cells, these other cells that would develop.
Yes.
Helps reduce crime. Though it has a negative side if it is abused.
Yes.
And the human rights activists, I know Dr. Sewanyana was saying, look, I know the likes of Uganda Human Rights Network. All these are saying, but you see, if someone is taking my right, why would you prepare a right to live?
Yes.
Why would you protect him who has taken a right, someone else's right?
Well, we are still looking at suggestions that were made by residents and also security operatives to be able to shoot to kill, especially when it comes to handling armed robbers who have definitely dominated the Kampala metropolitan area. Businesses right now, I must say that are living in great fear because they know anytime now, there is no exception that, you know, during nighttime is only when we can be attacked. Even during daytime, anything is now actually possible. But Robert, you did talk about, you know, the Wembley when it was back in operation in 2002, and you did mention that at one point they lost track. But even when we are seeing in the meeting that the security operatives were having with Mukono residents, one security operative said, I know we do have agents here, okay? And also over the years, we've had reports that we have agents, even in the police itself, that definitely cushion the thieves to do this. And you also talked about the loopholes in the judicial system. But what's causing all this? Why are we having this loophole? Because this has become a cycle. You know, you will get this thief. There is evidence, everything to show that he's actually very guilty. I throw him in court. He'll probably go behind bars a month after, 2 months. He's back into society. And by the way, this time round, he comes back, doubling up the work he was doing the first time. But why are we having this cycle? Why can we not break it? Because it's continuous, and this is not really getting any better.
First, when it comes to armed robbery, it means there was a gun used. Police, security agencies, I must appreciate this effort that has been done, like when we saw marking of these guns. But there's still so much that has to be done. You know, it is only, to the best of my knowledge,
Yes.
there are gun types. But AK-47, when you see that weapon, it is not common with security agencies. I mean with private security firms.
Yes.
AK-47, that rifle. Whenever you see a robbery where there is an AK-47, a robbery, an AK-47, I must say, to an extent, there must be connivance,
Yes.
within someone from security operatives.
Because somebody would ask, how do they even access these arms?
Because when we find these, what Ugandans normally call sasirimu, sasichimu, basasirim, something like that, that is, we've had robbers where they say a private security firm.
Yes.
And I think those guys have done enough to clean up. Most of these robberies you see now are not involving, there was one recently on Masaka Road, people in attire similar to Ame having AK-47. People were waylaid thinking this is a roadblock by security, only to be robbed and whatever and whatever. This one of Mukono, look at the footage, because it's broad, it is available. When you see an AK-47, so we should look at the source of the gun. And I like it when Colonel Fred Mwesige said, we put you out of action, we investigate how you got the gun, because all guns are labeled.
Yes.
He is confessing that we believe and we know that within us, there could be people
Yes.
who are misusing these weapons, or there could be members of us committing these offenses.
Yes.
Because when you go to March India, they'll tell you soldiers who are now serving sentences at March India military barracks because they're involved in robbery.
Yes.
This is general knowledge. We have people, we have police officers, we have army officers who have been involved in robbery and they have been arrested by security. So we must first of all investigate the source of the guns. That is one. And close these gaps. And close these gaps. Two, investigations should be known to the... cases should be investigated and these security agencies should come out clearly and say, we have recovered this gun. I love Enanga. He's good at saying, we've recovered the weapon.
Yes.
We've arrested so and so.
Yes.
But Enanga, come back and update the nation that in such and such a robbery, we recovered this gun. It belonged to officer so and so. This is how it left the armory. And this is what we've had, and this has been arrested. Then second, police. We must fight corruption. You know why some of these robberies thrive in this country? Is funny investigations at times. Then from funny investigations, you have also connivance, the wrong elements, the kawukumi.
Yes.
Within police, that will not allow these investigations to move on proper. Then now when they reach to court, that is where we must fight corruption. That is where we must ensure that we have enough staffing. Because, you know, a judge will tell you, I have so many cases. So this case will go slow. Let me give you an example. Away from armed robbery. 9 months now for Sewanyana and Seginya Honorable.
Yes.
Trial hasn't started. Bail. Trial hasn't started. 9 months, how many? Aya has 12 months. 9 months.
So we are left with about only 3 months to make it a year.
You know, we need to expedite justice. If there is no evidence, don't arrest. You know? So these are some of the gaps that these criminals know and use. A person is arrested, then we keep, then after remand, then they are released. And once they are released, it is very hard to investigate an armed robber.
Yes.
Because these guys have influence. They are feared. Who is going to come and testify, be a witness of someone they believe killed using a gun and is out there?
Because they know, you know, they could come back for you.
And also I think we should review some of our laws. We've made amendments. I don't want to say we've made some useless amendments. Yeah? But there are some amendments we've made that I believe we are leaving priorities. For me, there are some, I believe in human rights. I respect human rights. But I want to say we are human. Moreover, some of these organizations, people in them are very rich. Human rights, human rights, human rights. You know, we have someone, these rights that are God-given, but they have been in a way shaped, I think, from the Western world and something. We must look at some of our laws, what they are saying. A person who has murdered, a person who has stolen, who has committed an offense with a gun, a person who has killed, what are the circumstances under which they get bail or bond?
Yes.
And they tell you, this court has no jurisdiction to give you bail.
Bail.
But the end of the other person comes out. Can we say maybe 60 days without getting this? So that you allow investigations. One time the president recommended this. Oh, I saw politicians. They are hunting for us. Are you the ones going to commit these offenses? You know?
Because why would you be so concerned when
for
actually
me, if I'm Muslim,
the goodness of...
and you're asking, who ate the pork I left here? Why would I be bothered? Because see, I'm busy. But we must look at these laws. We are so much dilly-dallying in terms of fighting criminality. That is why we are having increased crimes. That is why you're going to see more defilement of these young girls, because people know you can't play around technical jargons, do this. That's why we are seeing increased corruption.
Yes. People
come before Kosase and they're even laughing after. You know? We need to look at what do our laws say. And for me, when the police comes out and says, we may or we are going to apply this method, if it is done properly, and I want to be very clear, if it is done properly, you're not targeting innocent people, it's not abused, then I would recommend it.
Well, just in case you missed it, we were discussing about the suggestions that have been made by several security authorities, but also residents for police to employ the shoot to kill gun policy, especially when dealing with armed robberies or armed robbers. Now, these are some of the things we have been seeing. We have been seeing all these business ventures. We have been seeing people's homes being driven into by these robbers. And I mean, they have left very many people traumatized, I must say. Some lives have been lost, property has been lost. So the security has been quite on tenterhooks, especially in the Kampala metropolitan area. Well, I mean, we don't know what is yet to be happen or what is yet to be taken, especially when it comes to consideration of this suggestion. But anytime now, it could actually be very hard for you now. This is just a caution to all of us, society members. You have to be very alert. And again, it's your responsibility as a society member. You know, anybody who is actually suspected, to be part of these gangs, go report to police.
Even from reporting.
Yes.
Mothers, warn your sons. Yes. Fathers, warn your daughters. Girlfriends, warn your boyfriends. Wives, warn your husbands. That now
things are getting tougher.
Things are getting tough. Bivemu. Go back and dig.
Well, that's it from today's Good Morning Uganda newsreel. For now, we'll be headed to the papers to see what made the big stories. The Daily Monitor, the New Vision, and the Daily Nation. Later on, I'll be giving you some traffic updates on what is happening, especially on the roads here in Kampala Division. And later on, we'll also be getting into the climate and the weather forecast for today. Good morning.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
The Kabaka Birthday Run 2022 is back on Sunday, 3rd July 2022 at Lubiri Mengo. This year, the run will be physical and will be flagged off by Sabasajja Kabaka at 7 a.m. Come out in large numbers once again to Lubiri Mengo. Run for a cause to fight and end HIV by 2030. Buy your ticket today at 15,000 Uganda shillings from Airtel shops at Tobani Center, New Taxi Park, ShopRite Building, Benchwanka Street, Majestic Brands Office at Bulange Mengo. You can also buy your ticket using Airtel Money. Dial *185 *5#. Select Payments, select Kabaka Run, and follow the prompts to complete the payment. Kabaka Birthday Run 2022 is brought to you by UNAID, CBS, BBS, and Airtel, the smartphone network.
The Tales of Kasozi, brought to you by Uganda Communications Commission.
Hello?
Hello?
This is Kasozi. How can I help you?
Hey, Kasozi, my brother. Long time. We last met when we were at campus. It's been a while, but you are the person I'm looking for.
Campus? Really?
Hey, you don't remember me?
Okay, so how can I help you?
I'm stuck in Gulu making millions, and I need to urgently send money to my sick mother. But I can't find any mobile money agent near me. I've sent the money to your phone, as you can see the message. It might take a few minutes to come through, but I urgently need you to send the money to my mother. Let me send you her number, and you send it to her chap.
My friend, I'm afraid your mom is going to die.
What?
Because I don't know you, I never went to campus, and I'm also in Gulu. So can we meet at CPS, we talk about it?
Stay tuned for what Kasozi does next.
Tofera. Refrain from unnecessary engagements with strangers over the phone. This message is powered by the Uganda Communications Commission.
We bring you a fresh, well-researched program to help you identify opportunities for investment, job creation, growing your entrepreneurial skills, wealth creation, and social transformation.
We have a product that is ready for schools, supermarkets.
Create wealth, transform livelihoods. Every week, we showcase opportunities for creating new products and services.
I now harvest a lot of cocoa. When I harvest it, I sell. After selling, I put money in my project. I have two projects. One is for construction of my house. Two is for educating my children.
Excellence in innovation, the passion and drive to succeed, and the right mindset to grow your business. Create wealth, transform livelihoods. Brought to you by Operation Wealth Creation.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, Uganda. Once again, we start off with the press review this morning and the Daily Monitor. The big headline, Museveni stops Muhoozi Twitter security posts. Now, of course, the Commander-in-Chief in a radio call message, Security and Intelligence Service Chiefs said social media is not bad and tasked the Command of Land Forces and other UPDF generals to use the platforms to discuss sports, political ideology, education and youth issues, to mention but a few. You can catch that full story on page 4. And still looking at some of the stories in the paper this morning, Alupo fails to convince teachers to end strike. This was, of course, in a meeting that was held between her and the UNATO representatives yesterday. Also in other stories, police block activists from visiting Besigye, and R. Kelly gets 30 years in jail for sex abuse. Looking at how young and diabetic people are having trouble, what kind of trouble are they having? This is a story that you also need to acquaint yourself with this morning. How to cope with male infertility, that you can also catch in the Daily Monitor. Now, moving on to the second page, we'll take you back in history. Today, Church House Foundation stone was laid. The year was 1977. Also in history, deadly asteroid flattens part of Russia, and we're looking at 1908. The Daily Monitor this morning to catch up on all those stories and more. But also the new vision. What are we looking at, Mullen?
Well, the new vision for this morning leads off with a story on Archbishop Semogere gets pallium from Pope, and that is a story on page 7 of the new vision for this morning. But also the big headline right there, inside teachers' government meeting, Vice President Alupo to report resolutions to Museveni. That is detailed on page 3 of the New Vision. They also give you a big picture right there as New Vision launches archives, of course with the New Vision administration and some of the lecturers from Makerere University. That is right there for you, detailed on page 4. Shoot to kill. Ochom orders police to shoot robbers dead. That is detailed on page 10. And in the Iala poll, 15 want NRM tickets in election. Well, that is also on page 7 of the New Vision, but also to catch up on the parish model, Kampala, to get special treatments. How so? That is detailed on page 6 of the New Vision. Trade ties as China-Uganda trade grows to shillings 3.9 trillion. That is on page 8 of the paper. But also crossing over to the second page, Uganda, South Sudan to discuss business. That's right, good opportunities right there. But also inside the parish development model, we're talking formed to benefit household, also take up the PDM to improve livelihoods. A lot in there that you can catch up with to know more about the parish development model. Today in history, they take you back to 2002. That is where local funds go wild, of course, across Kampala city, in a wave of the joy as Brazil beats Germany. Wow. And also taking you back in the same year, 2002, Hitler purges members of his own Nazi party. Well, that is also right there for you in today's New Vision.
In the Daily Monitor Sports, we take a look at how Jonathan Komagum, Uganda's latest big discovery, is doing quite some wonderful things over there, and he's such a budding reputation, and all eyes are definitely on him. So we're yet to see, and we only, of course, want the best from him. And Kiplimo hands for speed. This is a personal goal. Elsewhere, Nanyondo will hope to break the 4-minute barrier over the 1,500 meters. Now, in the European transfers, Chelsea leapfrogged Barcelona and Arsenal in the race to sign Leeds winger Rafinha for over £60 million. All that in the Daily Monitor Sports this Thursday morning.
And in the New Vision Sport, the cranes have touched base. Well, talking about the rugby cranes arriving in France, that is ahead of the 2023 France World Cup qualifier. And obviously, we do hope they make us proud. And they also give you the fixtures in there on how this is going to look like. Also, they give you a big picture right there of the Sports Minister Oboa, who is also flagging off the rugby cranes team to France, where they have that contingent arrival for yesterday. Obviously, looking forward to a lot that comes through. Federations cry foul. We're looking at the Sports Administration, who are still unhappy with the obscure funding guidelines that are used in the sports. And of course, the inside story right there, crested cranes in the fine form. Giving you a picture of Fauzia Najimba right there inside. Of course, she is the lead striker of the crested cranes as they talk about the journey of how far they have gone. And of course, they want to use the opportunity in the Women's African Cup of Nations. We're looking forward to that as well. But also boxing given a deep sighting. That is on the next page of the sports section in the New Vision. And they talk more about what boxing has for you. And of course, the she cranes light up Gulu. That is, as we talk about the Birmingham 2022 Commonwealth Games. A lot to uncover right there in the New Vision Sports.
Well, of course, we do have the press review and also that is going on, but also just remind you of our poll question, where we did ask how best can we improve the quality of A-level learners in Uganda. But before we get into that, also just to let you know of what is happening in the Daily Nation. Teachers ration food on high costs. Now, clearly, this is not a problem only in Uganda. I must say this is quite a universal one. So we need to be very, like they say, we need to start looking at plan Bs, but also trying to find a way we can deal with this. And still moving on, we're looking at Decision 2022, Fit to Rule. That is a question that is being asked several, maybe to all the presidential candidates in Kenya over there. Now remember that in August we'll be able to see who the next president of Kenya will be. But also we are looking at just just a few days to the elections, so we are yet to see that. And of course that and very many more stories we can get in the Daily Nation this morning. And looking at the cost of living relief, as Treasury halves a tax on cooking gas. Uganda calls for probe into Sakaja papers as another court case hands Wovinya. Of course, that is in relation to the paper trail this morning in the Daily Nation. That and many more. Now, getting to the poll question this morning, just to let you know some of your feedback that has come in from you, Derek. You're saying that I think Ministry of Education and Sports must come up with a new curriculum where students focus on vital syllabi and drop the minor ones, because failure is as a result of frustration and fear. Students fail where to focus mainly because they are taught beyond their expectations. That is why some after A-level even fear to join university, because they think the higher you go, the hotter it becomes. Thank you so much, Derek. Remember, we are looking at how best we can actually improve the quality of A-level learners, especially that come out in our Ugandan education institutions. While we are at it, I also want to tell you of what is happening, especially on our roads here in the Kampala division when it comes to traffic. I must say that this morning, the traffic is actually a little bit heavy on several roads. Even when I was making my way here, I must say I could see the traffic actually already building up. But when we center the focus, especially on the roads in Kampala division, we start off with Yusuf Olule Road. Now, this is the road that actually connects all the way from Chira roundabout and Mulago roundabout over here, which is actually already heavy with traffic, as evidently shown by these red spots on these roads. And now when you go all the way to Yusuf Olule Road, I must say it's quite a clear one this morning, but of course there are a few certain areas or parts of the road that are dominated by the traffic. For example, this red stretch here clearly shows you that, and this is especially for the people who are actually leaving the city center. Now, while you are getting into the city center, the story is different because it's marked by green, so it shouldn't be a problem. Now, when you go all the way, of course, you get to the roundabout over here at around Garden City, which definitely has very many other routes you can use to get to the city center. Now, when you take a detour of, you need to be expectant of the traffic that is building up over here as you're trying to join the Nile Avenue. Nile Avenue is definitely another shortcut you could be looking at as you're getting to the city center. But also looking at other roads surrounding this specific detour, there is Chintu Road, which is also quite one that you need probably to put to use this morning. Now, for those of you who are using or intend to use Shimoni Road and Makinon Road to join this this main road here that gets you to Nile Avenue, there are certain traffic build-ups over here, and this is something that you probably want to put into consideration as you're getting to the city center. Well, when we also look at some other parts in Kampala, we're looking at Seziwa Road. Seziwa Road this morning, I must say, it's looking very clear, so you don't have anything to worry about. Of course, as you're joining Tanan Avenue, the traffic starts to build up over here as shown by the orange lines, so you need to take note of that. And if you're using Nakasero Road, this morning it's quite not a rosy scene for you. Lumumba Avenue is very heavy with the traffic over here. Nakasero Road is also very heavy with the traffic. And we have also all these cars that are coming in, trying to join Speak Road and also trying to join the square. That definitely, of course, will lead you to the main road, that is Kampala Road. So yes, this is quite a busy area this morning. And of course, when you get to the main road, the story is actually not any different. Matter of fact, it becomes worse, as very evident over here. Now, red clearly shows you that this part of the road, which is Kampala Road, is very heavy, especially for the cars that are leaving this specific area headed outside of town. And for those of you getting into the city center, it shouldn't be really a big problem. But of course, as you go ahead, there are certain traffic build-ups that you should be expecting this very early morning. It's a Thursday, and again, anything can happen. Traffic, it can always update a minute from now, 2 minutes from now, 30 minutes from now. So yes, while you are at it, make sure that you are very, very, very dynamic and very flexible. You always have an alternative. If you don't know any shortcut in Kampala, I don't know how you survive, but it's very important that you know of all these. Well, that's it from the traffic updates this morning, but we also need to look at what is happening in the weather and climate arena. I don't know what's happening this morning or what's going to be happening during the course of the day. Molen, do we expect sunshine? Because I must say it's quite very humid this morning. It's really humid, And I don't know, how do we get rid ourselves of this? Are we now starting to feel the climate change? Is this what you people talk about when you mean climate change?
Well, I think I think that is an understatement. We have actually had effects of climate change for quite a while now.
Yes.
And the trend seems to be going up. But I wouldn't look at this humid situation to account for that.
Yes.
Because at this time of the year, it's kind of expected, especially the fact that most of us in the southern sector of Uganda are dealing with dry conditions. So if you have noticed, there has been quite some cold weather, especially for yesterday, almost the entire day around Lake Victoria. We had mostly cold weather, and that, you know, kind of pushed through the night as well. But this morning looks a bit bright. We could be looking at temperatures going up in different areas, and of course a tone down on rainy weather for different areas. We're looking at mostly quite sunny intervals. So I think it's a good day.
Well, good day, bad day, by all means we have to survive through it. But that's it from the traffic updates. Well, we now have a full detailed report concerning, of course, climate and the weather focus from Molen. Otherwise, have a wonderful Thursday morning. I am Philomena Masco.
Well, I'll also take it from that, and obviously as we talk about a good day here in the country, we also need to pick up on what is happening across the world. And of course, what is catching my eye for this morning is the 70-year drought, a record that has come up across northern Italy. Now, in 70 years, they are now talking about the worst heat drought that is for the northern part of Italy. And of course, that stretches from the fact that they have a lot of rivers drying up. And one of that has been, spotlighted is the river that is now being reclaimed. That is the River Po. Now, this has, the river is suffering effects of lack of winter snow. Obviously, that has been related to the fact that there has been climate variations over the area, which is why most of that snow has disappeared over the area. Now, this is accounting for around a region that is around a third of the country's agriculture output. This particular region that is being worst hit contributes a third of the country's agriculture output. You can only imagine. Now, from the local officials, they're saying if they do not get any rains within the next 14 days, the ground that you're seeing on the screen for that picture is actually still maybe probably okay, but then they are looking at the worst of the worst, meaning that even the ones that are growing from the land will not be able to make it because there is no water in the land over the area. Now, of course, the River Po runs more than 650 kilometers from west to east across northern parts of Italy, and that is where there is a lot of agricultural practices over the area. And of course, now they're looking at more of salt water from the Red Sea that is close to the river that could even do more further damages on the crops should they survive. Because if you have most of these rivers drying out, then you risk burning the already parched crops. If you're bringing in salt water, of course, that will be coming in from the sea. Now, according to the weather agencies over the northern part of Italy, they are saying that this drought is something they have not seen before in 70 years. And obviously, it means that it is becoming impossible to even predict what happens next, especially for the farmers over the area. And what they're looking at is actually this could also be adding to the summer heat wave that they have been dealing with over the area. And of course, even to cross off into irrigation is impossible because now all the rivers that are closed are drying up, and now they're relying on government support to make sure that actually there is more water that is coming in just outside of the northern area of Italy to make sure that they can have irrigation. But at such a point, it might really cost a lot. And obviously, we are talking about such a vast drought that is going to be even close to impossible to have to restore all the plantation over the area. And of course, also the early heat summer, the heat wave for the summer could be adding to the problem. But also away from that, still talking about heat wave, the worst has also hit Tokyo, Japan, and that is the one that we are following up on. This started earlier in the last couple of days. Japan, that is the area of Tokyo, has been dealing with a heat wave, and so far they are now in blackout for most areas. They have run out of power, and of course what they're saying is that they tried as much as possible make sure that they would regulate the heat over the area, but it looks like it's becoming impossible. Now, most areas across Japan have decided to even be considerate of the fact that there is no power, and of course at this rate they are looking into how to survive. Now we do know that Japan's electricity grid creaked on Thursday. That was under the strain of Tokyo's hottest June since 1875, and this is what we're following up on. They have not seen this kind of heat wave that is since 1875, and of course this has prompted a sudden shutdown of power plants, which have left millions of residents stay closer to blackouts, and of course that also brings in the air conditions to a halt, because now there is not going to be a lot to even regulate the temperatures within the houses. Now temperatures of around 40 degrees Celsius were predicted in some areas of Tokyo, and of course from the meteorological department over the area, they are saying that this is at least one of the worst periods of time to even forecast temperatures likely to drop, because they are looking at more of this going into as we head into the weekend. But the hopes are for next week Tuesday. Maybe that's when they could be looking at temperatures dropping to 30, which is not even close to being better, because even at 30 it will still be hot. However, maybe at that point there can be a lot to deal with the consumption of power. Otherwise, a lot of areas are still in blackouts, considering that most of the power companies are also having technical issues, adding to the problem that is at hand, which is the heat wave. Now this also is being related to the fact that there has been variations in the climate. Of course, when we talk about climate change, one of the major effects that are being faced across the world are heat waves, and I think this has been stretching from areas of course, as we talk about Japan, but we did see the worst being hit in the US, in Australia, and of course across most areas within the EU. And of course this has been one of the highlighted effects of climate change. While we talk about adding to that is flooding and the drought, like we mentioned, most of those even breaking records, and not to mention that even here in East Africa we have been dealing with drought stresses, especially for areas of Somalia that have been worst hit, according to the recent reports coming in from ICPAC and most of the climate centers that are making predictions across East Africa. So we are seeing more of these extreme events coming up. So when we talk about climate change, forget about the usual changes in weather. We're talking about the worst of the worst when it comes to severe weather events. Now we want to come back home here and take a look at what is happening across the country. We'll be tapping in from our satellite, and that is over Uganda for this morning with the EUMETSAT, looking at mostly cloudy weather across most areas within the country. And of course that is what is keeping us with a little bit of humidity, like Philomena was talking about this morning. And also most of the areas that are starting off with quite sunny skies, where you see the open gray skies right there, that is indicative of a sunny morning, and that is stretching right from the Karamoja regions, areas of Moroto, right there across the central parts of northern Uganda. That is where we have Kitgum, and that crosses over to West Nile, also looking into midwestern Uganda, Masindi, Hoima, starting to build a little bit of clouds. We do have that cloud system that is stretching from Muria all the way towards Apache. That is the one crossing over towards Masindi, bringing in a little bit of cloudy weather for this morning. Now across the central part of Lake Victoria Basin, we're seeing a little bit of clouds developing, and that is bringing in a little bit of rains across a few areas across the island, but most of that seems to be moving away, and we could be looking at quite sunny intervals for this morning across that area. But looks like the southwestern part of the country is as well starting off with quite some sunny weather, and obviously that will help to warm things up. That means that we could be looking at mostly a sunny day across that area. Now mostly the system that is trying to build is that one heading towards Kampala from Lake Victoria in quite yellow colors right there, but looks like it's just a stable system over there. Most likely it will be bringing just a few drizzles across the shores of Lake Victoria, but also that will keep us with a little bit of clouds and a mixture of sunshine. So literally that is dealing with sunny intervals for the entire morning across that area. However, we do expect some rains to develop later in the afternoon. Let's go ahead and take a look into our forecast for this morning. And of course that is coming in from the Uganda National Meteorological Authority to look at different areas within the country. We start off with the western side of Lake Victoria. That is where we have Masaka, Kalisizo, Sembabule and Rakai. We are forecasting sunny intervals. Also that is starting off with quite a cool 24 degrees centigrade. Now across southwestern Uganda, we're forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine, also starting off with quite a cold 24 degrees. We do expect that area to continue with sunny intervals even later in the afternoon, and meaning that we could see temperatures going up by the time we head for the evening. Now across Mount Elgon Highlands, we are forecasting sunny intervals as well, quite cooler than what we've seen across Mbara and Masaka. And that will be at 23, and also that area is expected to develop some light rains later in the afternoon. So that is one to look out for. But for now, looks like it's quite some pleasant weather over there. Now the eastern side of Lake Victoria, that is where we have Tororo, Busia, Iganga and Jinja. We are forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine, starting off with quite a chilly 25 degrees centigrade, and also most of those sunny intervals will cross over into the afternoon. Across eastern Uganda, we're forecasting still intervals of sunny and cloudy weather, starting off with quite a beautiful 26 degrees centigrade over there. And also that system is likely to continue into the afternoon, meaning that we might be dealing with the same mix of clouds and sunshine even later in the afternoon, and temperatures will also be going equally high over that area. Now across the eastern side of Central, that is parts of Ruwero, Wobulenzi, Buduri, Nakaseke, we do have Nakasongola in that category. We are forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine, starting off with quite a cool 24 degrees centigrade over that area, and also some rains are expected to develop later in the afternoon. That is across the eastern parts of Central. Now central northern Uganda, we do expect some of those rains to develop. Right now we're dealing with mostly cloudy weather. That will be bringing in a little bit of rains across the area. And of course, starting off with a cool 24 degrees centigrade, we do expect those rains to cross over into the afternoon. And of course, that is the same system that might be extending towards West Nile as well. Now we look at the central part of Lake Victoria Basin. That is looking at mostly intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions. That will be across several places. And of course, starting off with quite a cool 24 degrees centigrade, a little bit higher than what we were dealing with yesterday. But still, it is cold weather, and we do expect that to continue into the afternoon. We could be looking at mostly rainy weather that could be developing later in the afternoon, especially across the Lake Victoria Basin, but mostly towards the central and western area of Lake Victoria. Well, that is what we have for you in terms of weather for this morning. Look out for Good Morning Uganda agenda coming up. And of course, later than that, we'll also be taking you through some of the sports highlights. And of course, after that, we'll be looking at Good Morning Uganda Extra. My name is Molin Kenyina, wishing you a lovely day.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
The Kabaka Birthday Run 2022 is back on Sunday, 3rd July 2022 at Lubiri Mengo. This year, the run will be physical and will be flagged off by Sabasajja Kabaka at 7 a.m. Come out in large numbers once again to Lubiri Mengo. Run for a cause to fight and end HIV by 2030. Buy your ticket today at 15,000 Uganda shillings from Airtel shops at Tobani Center, New Taxi Park, ShopRite Building, Benchwanka Street, Majestic Brands Office at Bulange Mengo. You can also buy your ticket using Airtel Money. Dial *185*5#. Select Payments, select Kabaka Run, and follow the prompts to complete the payment. Kabaka Birthday Run 2022 is brought to you by UNAID, CBS, BBS, and Airtel, the smartphone network.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way, because we are all different, even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jinga Tea drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Get connected today with the My Airtel 4G smartphone and enjoy free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 Uganda shillings. That's free 2 GB for the first month and free 1 GB for the next 11 months at only 250,000 Uganda shillings with free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 shillings, making the effective price of the 4G phone 163,500 shillings only. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome to English in a Minute. Anything that is significant is important to you. Let's see if Anna and Jonathan have something important to say about this.
Hey, did you get an invitation to Lila and Matt's wedding?
I did, and I think I'm gonna bring my significant other.
Wait, you have a significant other? Since when?
Since none of your business.
Okay.
Significant other is a term for a person's partner in a romantic relationship. It's used formally in invitations to mean a person may bring their partner to the event. Significant other can also be used if a person wants to keep their private life secret, like Anna. And that's English in a Minute.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.
A cool morning it is here in Kampala. I don't know which part of the country you are and what the weather is like, but for us here it is very cool. But don't forget to carry something a bit to keep you warm. It's not raining. We don't know what later could be, just in case you missed weather and nature with Molen Kenyana. But if you did, then you're well assured of what the weather is going to be like. Once again, I'm Robert Chirabonyonyintono, and thank you for keeping it here with us on UBC TV this lovely Thursday morning. Now, it is Good Morning Uganda agenda, and here we usually have our guests in our studios. And what do? We pick a topic of national concern, and we bring relevant guests in that direction of the topic of discussion. And of course, you can also be part of this topic by simply going to our social media platforms and sending in a question, a message, your opinion on the topic of discussion. Now, this morning, we are having a very interesting topic. We know we shall all one day retire. But what next after retirement? Now, we want to look at the pension sector in Uganda. And when we talk about pension, well, we'll discuss more regarding that. But I have a guest, a person I know who is well versed with these issues, with whom we are going to discuss more, and that is the Chief Executive Officer, Uganda Retirement Benefit